Welcome to the Security Guard Management training video, Customer Relations for Security Officers. My name is Ken R. Scott, and I'll be your narrator. As a security officer, you should always remain polite, respectful, and sensitive to the person being served. Use empathy, not sympathy, in dealing with people. In other words, show that you care. Be businesslike at all times, and treat the person that you're interacting with the way that you would want to be treated under the same circumstances. Anger, impatience, contempt, dislike, sarcasm, and similar attitudes have no place in public relations. Security companies with effective customer relations will build a long-term relationship with clients and their clients' customers. This training video will demonstrate the importance of customer relations regarding you, your company, and the people that you come in contact with. When I say people, it includes not only customers where you're assigned, it also includes people that you come in contact with. The following is a snapshot of people that you will come in contact with. In this training video, the word customer applies to any person that you may come in contact with while on duty, such as client employees, client customers, client executives, client administrative staff, police officers, firemen, delivery men, vendors, the public in general, just to name a few. You should also include your own company personnel, such as your fellow security officers, supervisors, management, administrative staff. There are more, but you get the idea. The bottom line is that you should always show respect to everyone that you come in contact with while working as a security officer. Throughout this training video, we will be referring to the word posts. The word post is defined as a location that you're assigned to protect. For example, it could be an apartment complex, a shopping center, a government facility, a gated community, a sporting event, or a concert, just to name a few. Clients are defined as companies that have contracted with your company to protect their business or assets. The public when on the property, and in some cases, information. Applying customer relations for security officers is basically the strategy of politely promoting and communicating with people. Always keep in mind that a client can always hire another company if the service is poor. The primary cause for poor service is inadequate customer relations by a security officer. Your company spends a lot of time, effort, and money to purport and maintain a positive image. Just one negative encounter can tear down that entire image. Continual negative encounters by security officers with customers, clients, and the public will eat away at this image. When your company loses a contract, your employment, as well as all other security officers assigned, are in jeopardy. So try to maintain a good customer relation, which in turn can give you employment security. Remember these 10 behavioral rules. Be accommodating. As a security officer, part of your duties is to be there to help customers, tenants, and the public. This does not mean that you have to grovel like a servant, but you should make it clear that you will help them if you can. This is accomplished by being friendly, open, and truthful. For example, you might respond to a question, "I would be glad to assist you if I can." Showing that you are glad to assist shows that you are doing this because you want to, not because you have to. Saying, "if I can," indicates that you may not have the answer. So if you don't have the answer, at least they know that you've tried. If it is something important, tell them that you'll try and contact someone else who can help them immediately. Be composed. A key element when practicing customer relations is keeping your composure. If you look agitated or indifferent, it will always have a negative impact on the person that you're talking to. Always stay calm, even when the person appears annoyed or is argumentative. Nothing can be accomplished if you and the person get into an argument. Always remain calm and stick with the issue, and you'll always be right. Even if the person you come in contact with is being aggressive, Avoid physical contact if at all possible. Use verbal de-escalation whenever possible. If physical contact is necessary, be sure that your physical response is in self-defense, reasonable, and absolutely necessary. Most of all, remember that your physical response may be witnessed by the general public, and therefore, it must also look professional. It must appear that you are in control. Be concerned. Your facial expressions and tone of voice tell a story. If you have an "I don't care" attitude, it will show up on your facial expression and in the tone of your voice also. Always show a facial expression that you're concerned, even if you think the person is overreacting to the situation. Remember, not everyone has your experience. Maintain confidentiality. Being confidential does not mean that if a person is a victim, makes a complaint, or is a witness, that you don't make a report or pass the information on to the police. What we mean is that you don't repeat the information that you receive to anyone who is not an authority. In other words, don't talk to the press, don't tell your friends, or don't tell someone that just wants to know what happened. Repeating confidential information to anyone outside of the authorization circle will get you and your company in more trouble than most other customer relation topics that we're discussing. Be courteous. Being courteous is something that you should not only practice on the job, but off the job as well. Did you know that it takes more effort to be rude than it does to be courteous? Think about it. When you're rude or offensive, the person that you're talking to immediately becomes offended. They'll either react in a like manner or they will walk away. Either way, it's a complaint waiting to happen. It's so much easier just to be polite. Sometimes it takes a special effort when the person that you're dealing with is nasty. As a security officer, you're required to be courteous in all types of situations. Treat each contact as a process consisting of several phases instead of happenings. Slow down and take the time to evaluate the environment that you're about to enter. Size things up as accurately as possible before making contact. Avoid giving the impression that your presence should be interpreted as a threat. Your demeanor should project your concern and care for the needs of the person that you're interacting with. A great opening statement: "How can I help you?" Be dependable. Being dependable does not just mean getting to work on time and following the post instructions. Dependability in this case means that when you tell the person that you're talking to that you'll do something, then do it. If you do not, then your reputation as being reliable will be lost. If you told someone that you were going to do something and it turns out that you can't follow through, the first thing that you need to do is to let them know that you can't do it. When someone tells you about an incident or a crime that occurred, they're telling you this because they expect you to do something. This could be anything from making a minor incident report, calling the authorities, or notifying the management.
Officer, help me! I've been robbed! I've been robbed! Somebody stole my purse!
Are you hurt?
No, I'm not hurt, but I've been robbed. Somebody took my purse.
Okay, ma'am, how long did this happen?
Just about 2 or 3 minutes ago. He stole my purse. A guy came up behind me and grabbed my purse.
Can you describe that on?
He had on a baseball cap, and he had on jeans, he had on a t-shirt. That's all I remember.
Failing to follow through on any one of these could lead to not only getting a reprimand, but it could also escalate into a lawsuit. In extreme cases, you could be arrested for not reporting. A case in point would be that if someone called you and said there was a fire in the building and you did nothing, and later it was discovered that someone died, you could be charged with contributing to a crime. Be diplomatic. Diplomacy is when you employ judgment and pacification in situations of stress. As a security officer, sometimes being diplomatic is very difficult. For example, when you have a situation where two people have a different version of what happened or what is happening, it's your job to try and come to a conclusion that will satisfy both parties. It's very important that when you make this assessment, be sure that you're following the law, your company, and the client's rules and regulations. Try to remain detached and ignore any personal insults. You're only enforcing your company's customers' policies and procedures. The insults are directed at the company, not at you. Be tactful. Tactful is using skill and grace in dealing with others. In other words, be cautious that you don't say or do something that would be offensive when talking to people. For example, never let it appear that you're talking down to someone. This is especially important if you have a different point of view regarding a certain situation. Remember that the law, the rules, and regulations are on your side so that you can explain or instruct without being arrogant. Use tact. For example, Mrs. Jones, I know that you feel you're right, but the rules and regulations of this shopping center state that baby strollers are not allowed on the escalators. Please use the elevator just down the hall. Be tolerant. Being tolerant means that even though you disagree with someone, you still respect their opinion or actions. Unless, of course, their actions were in danger to you or someone else. Avoid arguing at all times. Never back the person that you're arguing with into a corner. If the situation becomes heated, give or get space, and then continue to use verbal de-escalation to diffuse the situation. Be unbiased. When you're performing your duties, remain free from being prejudiced or giving someone preferential treatment. Using a positive approach towards customer relations is the key. Here are some of the fundamental steps towards maintaining positive customer relations. One of the most important elements in good customer relations is presentation. Presentation includes your appearance, your demeanor, and your tone of voice. Always remember that first impressions are lasting impressions. Your personal hygiene is step 1. Step 2 is wearing a clean, pressed uniform. Step 3, have a pleasant demeanor. Don't have a cocky, angry, or I don't care attitude. Remember your tone of voice. Speak clearly, politely, and never arrogant. Talk to the person and not to the crowd. In other words, speak loud enough so that the person you're speaking with can hear you and not everyone else nearby. Be careful of the domino effect. For example, if you were assigned to a shopping center and had poor communication skills, that will have a negative impact on the shopping center's actual business. This could cause the owners to become very angry with you and your company. Your company will then become angry with you. Then your company has a decision to make. A, keep you employed and lose the contract. B, reprimand and transfer you. Or C, fire you. Which one do you think management will choose? A, B, or C? I can assure you that A would not even be a consideration. Treat all complaining customers with respect. Every complaint or objection should be handled with respect for the person complaining, no matter how absurd it may appear. Always treat the person with dignity and never argue. Allow the customer to save face. Don't embarrass a customer who's been abusive or mistaken. Use responses like, I understand why you may misunderstand this. This policy is sometimes confusing. This rule is basic to conflict resolutions as well as situations when physical restraint is necessary. Build the ego of the customer. Give them credit for their point of view. You could use a verbal technique like saying, not many people would have thought of that. Show genuine courtesy and respect. Be respectful and considerate to the customer. When you're interviewing the customer, allow for them to vent their frustrations. Use an active listening technique to emphasize your concern. Last but certainly not least, always keep in mind that you're under no obligation to disarm an assailant with a knife or gun or chase down an assailant. Officer safety always comes first. Instead of disarming the bad guy, evacuate the area, create a safety zone, and keep your distance until assistance can arrive. This will look a lot more professional to the media, and it'll keep you and everyone else safe. If you follow the recommendations in this training video, you should have no problem with customer relations. The additional benefit is that your job will be easier, rewarding, and set you on a course to advancement. This concludes our video on customer relations for security officers. If you have any additional questions, please contact your human resources or manager.